Hi, so glad you can join us again. We are reading from the Complete Jewish Bible, which is a Hebrew translation of the Bible. Deuteronomy chapter 6, verses 4 through 9. Shema. Hear, Israel, Adonai our God, Adonai is one, and you are to love Adonai your God with all your heart, all your being, and all your resources. These words which I'm ordering you today are to be on your heart, and you're to teach them carefully to your children. You're to talk about them when you sit at home, when you are traveling on the road, when you lie down, and when you get up. Tie them on your hand as a sign. Put them at the front of a headband around your forehead, and write them on the door frames of your house and on your gates. Matthew chapter 6, verses 9 through 14. Our Father in heaven, may your name be kept holy. May your kingdom come. Your will be done on earth as in heaven. Give us the food we need today. Forgive us what we have done wrong, as we too have forgiven those who have wronged us. And do not lead us into hard testing, but keep us safe from the evil one. For kingship, power, and glory are yours forever. Genesis chapter 22. After these things, God tested Abraham. He said to him, Abraham, and he answered, Here I am. He said, Take your son, your only son, whom you love, Isaac, and go to the land of Moriah. There you are to offer him as a burnt offering on a mountain that I will point out to you. Abraham got up early in the morning, saddled his donkey, and took 2 of his young men with him, together with Isaac, his son. He cut the wood for the burnt offerings, departed, and went toward the place God had told him about. On the 3rd day, Abraham raised his eyes and saw the place in the distance. Abraham said to his young men, Stay here with the donkey, and I and the boy will go there, worship, and return to you. Abraham took the wood for the burnt offering and laid it on Isaac, his son. Then he took in his hand the fire and the knife, and they both went on together. Isaac spoke to Abraham, his father. My father, he answered, Here I am, my son. He said, I see the fire and the wood, but where's the lamb for the burnt offering? Abraham replied, God will provide himself the lamb for a burnt offering, my son. And they both went on together. They came to the place God had told him about, and Abraham built the altar there, set the wood in order, bound Isaac his son, and laid him on the altar on the wood. Then Abraham put out his hand and took the knife to kill his son. But the angel of Adonai called to him out of heaven, Abraham, Abraham. He answered, Here I am. He said, Don't lay your hand on that boy. Don't do anything to him. For now I know that you are a man who fears God, because you have not withheld your son, your only son, from me. Abraham raised his eyes and looked, and there behind him was a ram caught in the bushes by its horns. Abraham went and took the ram and offered it up as a burnt offering in place of his son. Abraham called the place Adonai Yirah. The Lord will see to it. The Lord provides. As it is said to this day, on the mountain Adonai is seen. The angel of Adonai called to Abraham a second time out of heaven. He said, I have sworn by myself, says Adonai, that because you have done this, because you haven't withheld your son, your only son, I will most certainly bless you, and I will most certainly increase your descendants to as many as there are stars in the sky or grains of sand on the seashore. Your descendants will possess the cities of their enemies, and by your descendants all the nations of the earth will be blessed, because you obeyed my order. So Abraham returned to his young men. They got up and went together to Beersheba, and Abraham settled in Beersheba. Afterwards, Abraham was told, Milcah too was born children to your brother Nachor. Uz, his firstborn, Buz, his brother, Cumuel, the father of Aram, Kesed, Hazo, Pildash, Yidlaf, and Betuel. Betuel fathered Rivkah, Rebekah. These 8 Milcah bore to Nachor, Abraham's brother. His concubine, whose name was Reumah, bore children also, Tevach, Gaksham, Takash, and Ma'akah. Joshua chapter 21. 22. Then Joshua called Reubeni, the Gadi, and the half tribe of Manasseh, and said to them, "You have done everything Moshe, the servant of Adonai, ordered you to do, and heeded what I said in all the orders I gave you. All this time you have not abandoned your kinsmen, but have obeyed your commission, as Adonai your God ordered. Now Adonai your God is giving rest to your kinsmen, as he told them he would. So you too return to your tents in the land which is your possession, which Moshe the servant of Adonai gave you beyond the Jordan. Only take great care to obey the mitzvah and the Torah which Moshe the servant of Adonai gave you, to love Adonai your God, follow all his ways, observe his mitzvah, cling to him and serve him with all your heart and being." Then Joshua blessed them and sent them away, and they went to their tents. To the half tribe of Manasseh, Moshe had given an inheritance in Bashan, but to the other half Joshua gave one among their kinsmen on the west side of the Jordan. When Joshua sent them away to their tents, he blessed them, saying, "Return with great riches to your tents, with very much livestock, with silver, gold, bronze, iron, and with quantities of clothing. Share the spoil of your enemies with your kinsmen." So the descendants of Reuben, the descendants of Gad, and the half tribe of Manasseh returned. They left the people of Israel in Shiloh, in the land of Canaan, to go to the land of Gilead, to the land they were to possess, and which they already did possess, according to the order of Adonai through Moshe. When the descendants of Reuben, the descendants of Gad, and the half tribe arrived in the area of the land of Canaan near the Jordan, they built an altar there by the Jordan, a large, impressive altar. The people of Israel heard of it and said, "Look, the descendants of Reuben, the descendants of Gad, and the half-tribe of Manasseh have built an altar by the frontier of the land of Canaan, in the area by the Jordan, on the side that belongs to the people of Israel." When the people of Israel heard of it, the entire community of Israel gathered together in Shiloh to wage war against them. The people of Israel sent Pinchas, the son of Eleazar, the Cohen, into the land of Gilead, to the descendants of Reuben, the descendants of Gad, and the half-tribe of Manasseh. With him were 10 leaders, one leader of an ancestral clan of each of the tribes of Israel. Each one was a head of his ancestral clan among the thousands of Israel. They came to the descendants of Reuben, the descendants of Gad, and the half-tribe of Manasseh in the land of Gilead, and spoke with them. They said, "Here is what the whole community of Adonai is saying. What is this treachery that you have committed against the God of Israel, turning away today from following Adonai, in that you have built yourselves an altar, thus rebelling today against Adonai? Is the guilt we incur at Peor not enough for us? We haven't cleansed ourselves from it to this day, even though a plague came on to the community of Adonai. Is this why you have to turn away today from following Adonai? If you rebel against Adonai today, he will be angry tomorrow with the whole community of Israel. If the land you have taken possession of is unclean, then cross back over into the land which belongs to Adonai, where the tabernacle of Adonai is located, and take a possession among us. But do not rebel against Adonai, and do not rebel against us by building yourselves an altar other than the altar of Adonai our God." Didn't Achan, the son of Zerah, commit a sin in regard to these two things set aside for destruction, and God's anger fell on the whole community of Israel? He was not the only one who died for his crime. Then the descendants of Reuben, the descendants of Gad, and the half-tribe of Manasseh answered the leaders of the thousands of Israel, "The mighty one God is Adonai. He knows, and Israel will know, if we acted in rebellion or treachery against Adonai. Don't vindicate us today We have not built an altar in order to turn away from following Adonai, or to offer on it burnt offerings, grain offerings, or sacrifices as peace offerings. If we have, let Adonai himself require us to atone for it. Rather, we did this out of anxiety, because we thought sometime in the future your descendants might say to our descendants, you do not have anything to do with Adonai, the God of Israel, because Adonai made the Jordan the border between us and you. So you, descendants of Reuben and Gad, have no share in Adonai. In this way, your descendants could make our descendants stop fearing Adonai. So we said, let us now make preparations and build ourselves an altar, not for burnt offerings or sacrifices, but as a witness between us and you, and between our generations who will come after us, so that we may perform the sacrifice for Adonai in his presence with our burnt offerings, sacrifices, and peace offerings, so that your descendants will not say to our descendants at some point in the future, you have no share in Adonai. For this reason we said, when they accuse us of or future generations in this way, we will say, look, here is a replica of the altar of Adonai which our ancestors made, not for burnt offerings or sacrifices, but as a witness between us and you. Far be it from us that we should rebel against Adonai and turn away today from following Adonai by building an altar for burnt offerings, grain offerings, or sacrifices other than the altar of Adonai our God which stands in front of his tabernacle. When Pinchas the Cohen and the leaders of the community, the heads of the thousands of Israels who were with him, heard what the descendants of Reuben, the descendants of Gad, and the descendants of Manasseh said, it satisfied them. Pinchas, the son of Eleazar the Cohen, said to the descendants of Reuben, the descendants of Gad, and the descendants of Manasseh, today we know that Adonai is here, because you have not committed this treasonous act against Adonai. Now you have saved the people of Israel the anger of Adonai. So Pinchas, the son of Eleazar the Cohen, and the leaders returned from the descendants of Reuben and Gad from the land of Gilead to the land of Canaan, and the people of Israel, bringing word back to them. What they said satisfied the people. The people of Israel blessed God and said no more about going to wage war against the descendants of Reuben and Gad and destroying the land where they lived. The descendants of Reuben and Gad called the altar Eid, a witness between us that Adonai is God. Psalms chapter 22. A psalm of David, said to sunrise. My God, why have you abandoned me? Why so far from helping me? So far from my anguished cries? My God, by day I call to you, but you do not answer. Likewise at night, but I get no relief. Nevertheless, you are holy, enthroned on the praises of Israel. In you our ancestors put their trust. They trusted, and you rescued them. They cried to you and escaped. They trusted in you and were not disappointed. But I am a worm, not a man, scorned by everyone, despised by people. All who see me jeer at me. They sneer and shake their heads. He committed himself to Adonai, so let him rescue him. Let him set him free, if he takes such delight in him. But you are the one who took me from the womb. You made me trust when I was on my mother's breasts. Since my birth I've been thrown on you. You are my God from my mother's womb. Do not stay far from me, for trouble is near, and there is no one to help. Many bulls surround me. Wild bulls of Bashan close in on me. They open their mouths wide against me, like ravening, roaring lions. I am poured out like water. All my bones are out of joint. My heart has become like wax. It melts inside me. My mouth is as dry as a fragrant of a pot. My tongue sticks to my plate. You lay me down in the dust of death. Dogs are all around me. A pack of villains closes in on me like a lion at my hands and feet. I can count every one of my bones while they gaze at me and gloat. They divide my garments among themselves. For my clothing they throw dice. But you, Adonai, do not stay far away. My strength, come quickly to help me. Rescue me from the sword, my life from the power of the dogs. Save me from the lion's mouth. You have answered me from the wild bull's horns. I will proclaim your name to my kinsmen. Right there in the assembly I will praise you. You who fear Adonai, praise him. All descendants of Jacob, glorify him. All descendants of Israel, stand in awe of him. For he has not despised or abhorred the poverty of the poor. He did not hide his face from him, but listened to his cry. Because of you, I give praise in the great assembly. I will fulfill my vows in the sight of those who fear him. The poor will eat and be satisfied. Those who seek Adonai will praise him. Your heart will enjoy life forever. All the ends of the earth will remember and turn to Adonai. All the clans of the nation will worship in your presence, for the kingdom belongs to Adonai, and he rules the nations. All who prosper on the earth will eat and worship. All who go down to the dust will kneel before him, including him who cannot keep himself alive. A descendant will serve him. The next generation will be told of Adonai. They will come and proclaim his righteousness to the people yet unborn, that he is the one who did it. Matthew chapter 22. Joshua again used parables in speaking to them. The kingdom of heaven is like a king who prepared a wedding feast for his son, but when he sent his slaves to summon the invited guests to the wedding, they refused to come. So he sent some more slaves, instructing them to tell the guests, "Look, I've prepared my banquet, I've slaughtered my bulls and my fattened cattle, and everything is ready. Come to the wedding." But they weren't interested and went off, one to his farm, another to his business, and the rest grabbed his slaves, mistreated them, and killed them. The king was furious and sent his soldiers, who killed those murderers and burned down their city. Then he said to his slaves, "Well, the wedding feast is ready, but the ones who were invited did not deserve it. So go out to the street corners and invite to the banquet as many as you find." The slaves went out into the streets, gathered all the people they could find, the bad along with the good, and the wedding hall was filled with guests. Now when the king came in to look at the guests, he saw there a man who wasn't dressed for the wedding. So he asked him, "Friend, how did you get in here without wedding clothes?" The man was speechless. Then the king said to the servants, "Bind him hand and foot and throw him outside in the dark. In that place people will wail and grind their teeth, for many are invited, but few are chosen." Then the Perishim went away and put together a plan to trap Joshua with his own words. They sent him some of their Talmudim and some members of Herod's party. They said, "Rabbi, we know that you tell the truth and really teach what God's way is. You are not concerned with what other people think about you, since you pay no attention to a person's status. So tell us your opinion. Does Torah permit paying taxes to the Roman emperor or not?" Joshua, however, knowing their malicious intent, said, "You hypocrites, why are you trying to trap me? Show me the coin used to pay the taxes." They brought him a denarius. And he asked them, "Whose name and picture are these?" "The emperor's," they replied. Joshua said to them, "Give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar, and give to God what belongs to God." On hearing this, they were amazed, and they left him and went away. That same day, the Sadducees came to him. They are the ones who say there is no such thing as resurrection. So they put to him a shelah. Rabbi Moshe said, "If a man dies childless, his brother must marry his widow and have children to preserve the man's family line. There were 7 brothers. The first one married and then died, and since he had no children, he left his widow to his brother. The same thing happened to the second brother and the third, and finally to all 7. After them, the woman died. After them all, the woman died. Now, in the resurrection of the 7, whose wife will she be? For they all married her. Yeshua answered them, the reason you go astray is that you are ignorant both of the Tanakh and the power of God. For in the resurrection, neither men nor women will marry. Rather, they will be like angels in heaven. And for whether the dead are resurrected, haven't you read what God said to you? I am the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. He is God, not of the dead, but of the living. When the crowds heard how he taught, they were astounded. But when the Perushim learned that he had silenced the Tzaddukim, they got together. And one of them, who was a Torah expert, asked a Shelah to trap him. Rabbi, which of the mitzvah in the Torah is the most important? He told them, you're to love Adonai your God with all your heart and all your soul and with all your strength. This is the greatest and most important mitzvah. And the second is similar to it. You are to love your neighbor as yourself. All of the Torah and the prophets are dependent on these two mitzvahs. Then turning to the assembled Perushim, Joshua put a shayla to them. Tell me your view concerning the Messiah. Whose son is he? They said to him, David's. Then how is it, he asked them, that David, inspired by the Spirit, calls him Lord when he says, Adonai said to my Lord, sit here at my right hand until I put your enemies under your feet. If David thus calls him Lord, how is he his son? No one could think of anything to say in reply, and from that day on, no one dared put to him another Shelah. Numbers chapter 6 verses 24 through 26. May Adonai bless you and keep you. May Adonai make his face shine on you and show you his favor. May Adonai lift his face toward you and give you his shalom. Thank you so much for joining us, and I hope to see you again soon. Until that, shalom.